Welcome to the Free From Porn podcast, where freedom is your new normal. I'm your host, Justin Khoe, and today we're going to talk about the many times I've actually been propositioned at a massage parlor. Of course, I'm joined today by my co-host, Richard Young, who has no clue what stories I'm about to share.
You mean like you got propositioned for more towels? Or like, what does this even mean? It's not what I think it is it?
Unfortunately, it is what you think it is. It is the worst case scenario. Well, it's not the worst case scenario. It's one major gradient before the worst case scenario. So let me be clear. Your boy did not commit crimes. But like, this is a real thing that has happened. Okay, so I want to share one wild story that's going to be emblematic of it. And then the rest of it is like, this has actually happened multiple times, even though I keep moving from one like massage studio to the next, because I'm not looking for this. I don't want it. And I'm saying no, but,
Emily, he's not looking for it, Emily.
And for what it's worth, every time that it has happened, I have told my wife within minutes of it happening, so that everything's on the up and up. There's nothing kind of shady or any of that kind of stuff going on. So here's the first story. The very first time that I was exposed to this, I was actually in, where was it? I think it was in Atlanta for a pastor's conference. I was invited to speak and to teach around a pastor's conference. And funnily enough, one of the other guest teachers who was there was was actually my pastor at the time. I won't mention his name because I don't want to put him on blast. He didn't do anything shady either, but it's just an embarrassing story. We were both at one of those you ever been to like a reflexology massage where they kind of do a foot massage, but you're like in a conveyor belt. There's like 20 other people in the same room. So it's like a general thing.
I have never paid dollars for a massage in my life.
Really?
I don't think I've ever had one. No.
So I started doing them because of I used to train triathlons. And so, when you're trying to train for a long race or a marathon or something like that, getting your foot massaged is a recovery tool. So anyways, I was going to we decided after the event, we both decided, hey, before a flight, we got an extra hour or two. What if we found a massage? So we went to the massage spot, and literally you're in like a living room sized room. There's 10 or 15 other people in the space. So it's not at all meant to be a shady thing at all.
Nice.
And I'm just getting my foot massaged. Next thing that I know, boom, I hear the door get like barged in, and several individuals who were dressed as cops immediately move quickly into the space, and they move into this, because they had the general session, and then there was the private room, and they move into the private room, and you're just overhearing the conversations. And they were saying things like, did you think that don't you know you can't be doing this, or it's not right to X, Y, and Z, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Long story short, they arrested one of the workers there for doing the thing that you would imagine is improper at a massage studio. Parlor, I don't know what the right words are. I'm just saying where you get massages.
Yeah.
They ended up arresting someone, and context clues, she was doing something inappropriate at the massage spot, and this whole experience was like a 30-minute conversation. So we're literally in the living room-esque spot. Me and my pastor are side by side getting our feet massaged. The person who was doing the massage was working on my right calf, and understandably so, her attention was so split, paying attention to what was going on in the room, because everyone could hear everything, that for 30 minutes I only got my right calf massaged, and then the massage ended. It was not a very enjoyable conversation, but it was the first time that I was exposed to something like this. I was like, oh my goodness, this is absolutely wild. And so my pastor and I, friend, we were just kind of like big eyes. We're just like, what in the world happened? And then we ended up departing our separate ways and going home.
You always run into the cops when you're on trips, it seems like.
It does seem that way.
We'll have to tell that other story later.
Oh yeah, right. So this is what happened. Okay, so I'm not thinking anything of it. It just is what it is. And the reason why I started thinking about these stories was actually because of something that was happening on social media over the last couple of weeks. I posted a social media post with like an air quotes, and the statement, the hook said, if only she dressed better, then I wouldn't struggle with lust. And it was an appeal to what I've understood many young ladies are taught in the church, that it's actually their fault that men lust, that women need to dress better because then men will struggle if you don't. And then men have been taught that the reason why they struggle is actually because of women. In other words, it's all the women's fault. And what I wanted to offer in the social media post is that's just a stupid strategy. Because on the one hand, the whole world is not held to the same moral standards that you might want them to be. And so it just seems like a losing strategy that if the way that you solve a problem with lust is to convince every woman on the face of the planet to change the way that they dress, it just won't work. It's never going to happen. And even if you isolate it to just the Christians and you successfully get them to change, well, God forbid you're out in the wild and there's a non-believer who is not held to that ethic or standard. What are you going to do then? If the point of the post was, if your solution is control what they dress like and not actually address what's going on at the heart level, you're always going to be a slave. You're never going to take ownership for what's going on. And you run the risk of really destroying your life. And this is kind of where the second series of stories comes in. Here in Santa Clarita, where I live in California, I've been to like 5 different massage spots because massage is actually something that I enjoy, Rich. When I'm working out a bunch, like I actually it's just something that we do. We do date nights with my wife. Like massage is just part of something that we enjoy. At least 3 separate times, I've been propositioned personally at a massage spot now, where literally at the end of the massage, the person's like, you want some? And then they kind of just like do like a winky face or whatever the case is. They gesture kind of graphically. And I'm like, no, what in the world? And this is my point is, even if you can so successfully control your environment, you don't get to stop temptation from happening. Meaning, like, you don't get to stop external factors from showing up in your life and presenting themselves. And I think about the story of Joseph. Joseph was a man after God's own heart, right? Joseph in the Bible. Yeah. He's serving in Egypt. He's got the perspective of, I'm going to honor Yahweh with my entire life. And then what happens? Potiphar's wife shows up, and the Bible paints a picture where she's basically like what we would call now assaulting the guy. There's a power imbalance. She's Potiphar's wife. He's just a lowly servant, and she tries to take advantage of him all the way to the extent that I believe that the Bible says that Joseph basically, she grabs his clothing, and in the struggle, it was such a strong struggle that he ends up leaving his clothing with her as a way to escape.
He's running off buck naked, yeah.
He's running off butt naked, but here's the point. It's like, even if you're a man of God and you try to orient your life well, like Joseph did, stuff still happens. The world is still worldly. There is still an enemy out there who's seeking to devour and destroy and to kill. So if your solution is outsource your problem, blame women who don't dress well, it's a losing strategy. Maybe there's room separately to have a conversation about the values of modesty and caring for other people. And I'm down to have that conversation. But what I want to offer is to the dudes, stop blaming women, take ownership instead, and then allow the Lord to transform you from the inside out so that even if you're like Joseph, finding yourself in a situation that you don't want, that you actively attempt to prevent, you still are able to steward your life with integrity.
Yeah, it's kind of like what lens are you looking at the world through? If someone is dressed a certain way and that's just the go pass for you to just go mentally somewhere where you ought not to go, or if you're in a massage parlor and someone says, hey, you want this? And you're like, well, I was trying, but they offered. Like, we do need to actually change the way we're looking at the world. And the way to look at the world is that I'm a righteous royal priesthood. I'm a part of God's holy people, and I live a certain way, and I honor his children. I honor everybody. And if you're just waiting for the people, you're just going to be waiting a long time, and it might not be the answer for you.
Yeah. Did you ever feel like the solution was outsourcing a problem? Like, did you ever run that challenge? Like, I remember when I was at Bible college, this was kind of the belief. And this is kind of one of that cultures where it was like the pressure was on women and not so much men. Like, the pressure was there on men in the sense of, like, you know, you shouldn't be lusting or whatever the case is. But a meaningful part of the conversation was around controlling how women dressed. And I remember in that bubble, it actually was helpful. Like, because the Bible college was like off in the mountains, like kind of like an isolated experience. And so I got used to seeing women who dressed modestly. And so it certainly did help, the experience of temptation, because I wasn't being triggered by what I saw so frequently. But then real life had to be resumed at some point in time. I would remember going home for leave, like over Christmas or something like that, and then just going to the mall and then having my guard down. Why? Because I was actually in an environment that was air quotes safe, where women were dressing modestly. But then I entered into the mall and I saw people who weren't. And because I had not practiced actually stewarding my mind well, because I had outsourced my problem to my classmates and they had to dress better for me, it actually handicapped me. It put me at a disadvantage because I did not practice what does it look like to steward my mind and my eyes and my heart well. And so, like, maybe kind of backwards, I think it actually creates more of the problem. Like there are certain studies, and I haven't looked into the data to know that this is actually factual, but I think it makes sense that in traditionally religious conservative parts of the world, porn usage is actually high. Like you go to places like Salt Lake City, like Mormonism, right?
Yeah.
There's actually a large amount of porn usage in some place like that. If you think about something like where, like a Muslim country is the norm, and women are in hijab, like head to toe, completely covered, men apparently still have the ability in that culture to lust over wrists and ankles.
Well, Osama bin Laden, when they looked at his servers, man, there was so much porn.
Wait, that's true?
Yeah, dude. There was so much porn when they caught him. You know what?
Oh, embarrassing.
This reminds me, you went from this Bible college in the mountains, and then you moved to Hawaii. Last time I was in Hawaii, bro, we went to the North Shore. I think you were with us. And
a little different.
I like, if you go to Waikiki or if you go to the North Shore, the bathing suits out there it's wild. And I haven't experienced this being in Tennessee. And I was with our buddies and I was like looking at this and I said, what is the right mindset to live here and see all this? And we actually started talking about seeing these people who are dressed, and some of them shouldn't be dressed that way. Some of them, like, it's crazy. How do we look at them? How do we change our mind, and what lens should we look at? And we came down and like, these are daughters of God.
100%.
And that's how we have to see them.
This is kind of the crazy thing, is that when you take ownership, then you can do the air quotes real work of learning how to see people for their created value. Meaning, like, I can honestly say that living in Hawaii, it was actually some of the easier years in regards to the quote unquote battle against lust compared to and contrasted to my years in the mountains at a Bible college. Even though, like, literally, you just go to the you don't even got to go to the beach in Hawaii. You go to the grocery store, and it's quite common that you see people dressed in swimwear because it's Hawaii. And yet, even with the preponderance of opportunities for temptation, I want to say confidently that my time in Hawaii, man, I was walking in integrity and purity, even while all of this was happening, in a degree that I would have never fathomed while at a Bible college in the mountains where temptation was sparse. And this is the thing, is that, are you able to actually see people for their created value? Do you see them as objects, or do you see their created value? And I often use this example to just show men that you already can do this. You just got to learn how to practice it in other situations. Chances are most men listening to this podcast have a female cousin or a female sister or maybe even an auntie or something along those lines who, by societal norms, would register as attractive in some way, shape, or form. Many of us know that even though that might be true, they fit that norm, you have the mental block that you do not allow yourself to go past because it's improper. There's no way that I'm engaging in that thought pattern. Why? Because they're family, because there's someone valued in my life. And I would offer that as a gentle introduction to the larger practice of seeing people as image bearers, not objects. When it's someone in your family unit, you know what it's like to steward your mind well. So and here's the insight, there's nothing stopping you from stewarding your mind well in regards to all people created in God's image.
Absolutely. And if that's where you're at and you're hearing this and it's tugging on your heartstrings, like, I need to get a new lens, I need to look at people differently, well, then this prayer is for you. Father in heaven, we thank you that you've given us a new heart. Allow us to see through that. Allow us to see people for their created value, their being sons and then being daughters, and how you love them and how you love us. So give us this new lens and show us the way to live. In your name we pray. Amen.